everybody. Welcome to Tuner Talk. So, we debated this a little bit. We haven't really done an introduction.
Not a proper now. I don't think we've done a proper one.
My name is John Segnita. I run Cars Media Group, which does this, Car Show Tracker, and a few other things. I've been in the JDM world for most of my automotive career, like over 15 years. I used to own a company called Black Ops Performance, and I've done a lot of stuff. I've done some consulting work for the movie industry. I'm a certified auto appraiser, on and on and on and on. So,
I know that.
yeah, I do mostly Japanese cars and exotic stuff. Muscle cars here and there, but there's a lot of guys that do that in the Mecum end of it and the Derek Jackson end of it.
That's true.
It doesn't really be my forte.
I'm just I guess I'm the token car enthusiast, I guess.
Yeah, but I mean, you got a lot of background in BMW.
Yeah, I do. I've had many BMWs. I've been involved in motorsports. I was, I guess you could say, involved in the Mercedes design program for a little while. But definitely, I'm more the Euro guy for sure.
Yeah, and when I decided to make this show, I wanted to have somebody that wasn't always going to agree.
No, we disagree about a lot.
A lot of things. Yeah.
Not usually on camera.
We were literally talking political earlier, and it was like, we can't make a show about it.
Yeah, no.
But so I mean, it's
but in a friendly way.
No, absolutely, and we both kind of agree that the Supra sucks. So you just want the engine.
I do want the engine.
You just want the motor.
I do, for sure.
So, and anybody buys a new Supra and decides to put the actual correct motor in it, I don't think you can fix the rest of the car, but the correct motor in it. He will accept any free engine.
Yeah, give me your trash mode. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, we'll come get him.
I will come get him at my expense.
I mean, that's expense.
So, okay, well, that actually brings up your history. Actually brings up something I think would be a good show topic, which is, do you think that since the sort of the hero cars that made JDM cars so cool are slowly becoming legal now? Has the JDM car culture kind of lost its appeal? Oh,
absolutely. I don't think it's. I think the legality or the making it easy to get the cars. I mean, there's a lot of gray area. So the way we used to bring cars over and have to do disassemblies and all this stuff, and then title them in states that were acceptable to that stuff, so on and so forth, Florida, wherever. But when something is rare, people want it.
Yes, it's exclusive.
Right. I personally think the Bugatti Veyron is an ugly car. I love the tech. Ugly car. The newer stuff, the Chiron and this new car they just released, I can't remember the name of it.
The Voiture Noire.
Oh, very good. Very nice.
Yes.
Look better.
They do.
But because they're limited, if you offered me any car in the world right now, an LFA would probably be tops on my list. Not because it's the fastest thing in the world, but because I love Lexus.
It's a cool car.
I love Lexus. I love Formula One technology, and I love rarity.
Yeah.
But now that, and I ran a business for 15 years doing this, and myself and a few people that I'm friends with saw the writing on the wall. And we talked about it a long time ago, and we said, as soon as you can buy an R32 GTR,
so
legally, get the frick rid of your R32 GTR, because people are like, that's illegal. Okay, I've been pulled over many times with gray market cars.
Why is that?
I've never gotten a ticket, mostly because the cop wants to look at the car. That's true.
Yeah, that's a thing.
Slow it the hell down. But by the way, how did you get this?
That's true. There's a lot of car fanboys in Florida that are cops.
I have a lot of cop friends that are car people, which is funny. They see a lot of it. But the point was, once something is easy to get,
it loses something.
It loses the luster. It loses that bragging right. And I saw the writing on the wall when the R35 came out. When the pretender to the throne of the GTR came out. Now, they have grown to be probably, in hindsight, the best of the big three God cars. Big four. The RX-8 is garbage.
Yeah, it's trash. I hated that car.
It's a rattle trap.
It's ugly. It breaks all the time.
The new NSX is, at least Honda built it. The Supra is a travesty.
Yeah,
is a travesty. And the rumors and stuff that are going on now, I don't know where Lexus is at. But
Have you seen the meme going around where it shows like all the old hero cars and their power
horsepower
levels,
is like 10,
and all the new ones, and the
like
Supra's
10
like
more.
10 more horsepower.
Yeah, but it's
Everybody else is like double horsepower.
right, and technology and all-wheel drive and blah blah blah.
Yeah. But like all the other cars got better, except for the R8,
but
except for the Supra.
But what happened is when the new cars come out, and the truth is happening now. When the new NSX came out, no one liked it. The old NSXs like mine went up astronomically in price.
Oh yeah.
The new Supra, when we were in Detroit, 94% of all comments at the auto show were negative.
Yeah, I bet.
So hold on to your Mark IV for a little bit. You're going to be a really happy person. Is all I'm gonna say.
If you bought it as an investment.
I think one just sold for over $100,000.
You won 170 something, 170
Yeah,
something.
ludicrous.
Yeah.
But, and NSXs are clean, low mileage examples are selling in the $100,000 range now.
Interestingly, and probably for the same reason, E30 M3s like the one that I have they've also gotten astronomical.
Yeah, we talked about it before, where it was like you couldn't give those cars away when they came out.
And now one sold a clean Johnny Ciccato version, which is a relatively rare example, but it's not really better in any specific way. It's just like a package, basically, like an appearance package. $130,000.
But it's weird because much like the Supra, a lot of people put motor swaps in E30s. In M3s.
Yeah,
like you'll see this. They'll see the M3 motors going in them. You'll see the V10s going in. I've seen everything from LSs, which is a trick.
Well, the E30 M3 engine, which is an S14, which has nothing to do with not Nissans. It was an S14 before Nissan had an S14. They're really expensive to repair and maintain, but they don't reward you with a lot of power. So what a lot of guys do, which is the same thing that I did, is when you have one and the engine goes bad, you just sell it to somebody who actually wants it.
A couple of weeks ago, I drove an
Put
M4
else in.
with 620 horsepower.
That's right. Yeah, you were telling me about that.
And the car's cool.
How'd that make you feel about it?
Apparently, you can get horsepower out of anything.
Come on, dude.
No. It's the funny thing is the guy who gives us cars and helps us out when we're in California is he said that every time he tries to rent this car out or loan this car out, they bring it back because it's just too on power, and people get scared of it.
Too responsive.
Yeah, and people are like, I'm going to crash this, and they bring it back, and they take the AMG C63 MG, which is hilarious. That car's a piece anyway. But more nannies. But cool car. But
no, I was breaking your stones because that's what every Euro guy does when somebody says they have an 800 horsepower Honda. They're like, well, you can make anything fast, like whatever.
Well, you can. You really
true.
can. You put a rocket engine on a moped. I mean, you can do whatever. But getting back to the JDM car thing. Once the R32 became easily attainable, we're not going to get into the federal legal
legally,
part. You get it in Japan and you get it over here. It became a problem with. It didn't become a problem with the car. It became a problem with finding a nice one.
Oh,
because there's a lot of them over here that they've had Bondo in the frame rails and they're
in the frame rails.
Oh yeah, we had one a while back that a guy asked me to come look at, and they had literally spray painted the frame rail where it comes down out of the engine bay underneath, and there had been a big rot hole. They filled it with expansion foam, put some Bondo over it, and sanded it and sprayed it with flat black, and wasn't metal. It was, in its defense, because it's unibody, it was fixable.
Oh, yeah.
And those cars, they don't crash to US spec anyway, so just fix it. And that's what happened. They made a piece of metal for it. They grafted it in. And,
I was going to say.
Was it. But when you buy a car at full boat retail, you want your car to at least have a not rotted frame. But you got a lot of stuff. Now, Kyle from Black Widow Supra, who works with us a lot, he just bought the cheapest R32 GTR in the country for like $13,000.
Wow.
And
that's in country?
Yeah, he shipped it over here. It's been over here for a while. And he
bought it in Japan?
No, he bought it in California.
Oh, okay.
He brought it here. We did.
I gotcha.
One of our shops, MT Fab over here in Orlando, did the turbos and upgraded the car extensively. And now he's got a bunch of money in the car, but the car's badass. You know? He blew a hole through his muffler the size of a loaf of bread, though, recently. It was pretty funny. Two-stepping.
Oh, okay.
That's what Kyle does.
Oh, yeah.
But, the R32 was kind of the car everyone wanted.
I still want it.
But now there's so many cars that you can get. So basically, here's a common misconception. It's not the year of the car. So if 25 years, the car itself has to be 25 years old. So the production date of that vehicle, so say February 1st, 1994.
You can't get anything made in March of '94.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
you can now because it's
Well,
March.
it's March
but,
now.
Yeah, but I mean, you have to. It can't get to America before its production date matches 25 years.
I got you.
And guys have talked about this, and I've never disputed the easy way to do it. I've just sold the hard way to do it.
Yeah.
But you see people that now R32s, you can just go buy one.
Yeah.
We're actually going to do a video of one next week that we're going to help a client sell. We redid the whole motor on the car, and he's selling it because he bought our spool bus, our 34 spool
Oh,
bus.
right.
And he's one of the spool boy kids. But the funny thing is, those cars, I mean, his car is fully rebuilt. The car's been done. It's got a certified appraisal like that I did on the car. It has a few flaws, but it's not flawless. But the car appraises in the 30s, like upwards in the mid 30s. So to go buy a car that's had the crank collar replaced, which makes the engine a ton more reliable, has had the motor totally rebuilt, has had upgraded turbos and stuff put on it, and it beats buying a car for 25 grand that you don't know what you got.
That's true.
And a lot of these companies, not to name names, but there's a lot of these, I always tell people, if you're looking for a company to buy your JDM car for, don't buy one that's LLC.
Oh, yeah.
Because that means running for the woods the first time we have a problem.
Yeah.
And that silver car that we're going to do the video of is a perfect example. He bought that car from a local company here in Orlando. The car was a tooth off on timing. The turbocharger, the play in the turbo was 2 inches. So in the rear turbo.
The fins
So
were
the rear
gone.
turbo was never working.
Yeah.
But he learned the hard way. You get a car appraised.
Yeah.
And you get a car checked out before you buy it. He miraculously had a crack in the windshield after he paid for it. There was a lot of interesting stuff to the car. Had to do the clutch, had to do a bunch of stuff. But it was a perfect example. He paid, I think, $28,000 for this car because it's got all these mods. And you probably want to buy a car that has no mods.
Yeah.
Because those cars, when I see mods as an appraiser, I say, car's been beat on. And that's why you do it. You did it that way because you plan on driving this thing hard. No qualm with it, but that's something you got to keep in your head. And the car has a lot of really cool pieces and cool mods on it, and we'll get into it in the video. But if the car didn't have a train wreck engine in it, it would have been worth that money more.
That's true.
But now that you've got a motor with 500 miles on it, you're buying a brand new engine, which is I would buy an R32 these days prepared to rebuild the engine, especially an R32.
Just expecting to.
Yeah, because there's I could do a whole video on crank collar issues, but there's crank collar issues. Do your research on
Proper B engines.
Yeah, on the early cars. 33s, they pretty much solved it. That's why I always say they're an evolutionary company. But getting into the grand scheme of JDM.
Yeah.
Supers you can buy now.
Yep.
R33s, which are probably the most... I'm sorry, guys. If I hear one more, they look like an S14.
I like R33s.
They are great. And
I like
and
R33s.
to go buy an R33 GTST for like $18,000 to $19,000 or, is a steal.
I like... So,
because it's 80% of an R34 GTT.
Right.
For,
not
half of the price.
Yeah.
Half of
you
the
could
price.
make, if you were inspired to,
Yeah.
so inclined, you could build it, you could make the difference up and lessen the difference of price.
But what has happened is the cars that you can get now are pretty much around 25K. 32.
33.
32.
Oh, okay.
GTRs. You can't get the 33 GTR yet next year.
Mm-hmm.
Next year.
You can get the early.
But they're going to be in the mid-20s to 30, I'm guessing. The thing is...
Well,
Well, I know what they used to sell for. They used to sell for 30, gray market.
Yeah.
But what would happen was, as soon as something was available, like say the 32, the 33's value goes up. As soon as the 33 is available, the 34s, you could be able to buy an R34 GTR for 50 grand in Japan. Now you can't touch it for 75, 80 grand in Japan. So, these specs are going for 100 grand, more than that, for a clean example. I mean, you do see certain guys selling them here and there for decent deals. And I think if you can buy one cheap, buy one. It's a great investment. Because here's what happens. People stop caring. So there are a lot of R32s, okay, that are in this country that have not been legally imported. There's tons of them. There's tons of them. My car that I daily drove for 2 years, I still know the guy who owns it, okay? It was a 94. It's been here for 6 years, 7 years, okay? So it's not a legally imported car. It is legal to drive and so on and so forth. But the point is, nobody goes up. He literally told me, nobody asks me anymore. Nobody says, is that car legal?
Oh, yeah.
Because people assume that now R32s are legal.
Yeah.
No, they're not. They're not legal to import.
Some are not, yeah.
Some, yeah. So the early cars, which have the crank collar problems, 94 is when they kind of solved the low production numbers on 94. So what happens is, when the first R34 is legally imported, I'm not talking about these show and display cars, which you're better off to just wait until the cars are legal to drive as much as you want. So it's 2,500 miles, you can't change the lug nuts bullshit.
Yeah.
The whole thing was, you got to get, as soon as the first one is legal, and I'm going to say GTT.
Yeah,
is
just
legal,
base, like...
You know, no one is going to ask about 34s anymore. They're just going to assume they're all legal. And cops don't go driving around going, oh, that's an R34. Boo!
Yeah, let's
They
check
don't
the year.
care.
Yeah, no.
It's not their job. It's not. Is it registered? Yes. Is it titled? Yes. Is it insured? Yes. We're done. Bye. Have a nice day.
Interestingly, and kind of to your point, or at least one of your points, is even before I knew you, I had a number of friends that had R32s or whatever, these supposedly illegal cars. I don't know anyone who's ever been hassled by the cops about their car. Not one person.
The only drama you get is haters. You
Yeah,
get guys
so
that couldn't
that's
buy.
a different. Yeah, yeah.
You get guys. What's funny is I had this guy back when I was doing Black Ops full time, and years back, and he every time we listed a car, posted it, he'd chime in, and we never blocked him because it gets you more business.
Oh, yeah,
because they tell everybody, and whether they realize it or not, your haters are your best advertisers.
Oh, yeah.
Because people want to know if they're right, and they
Yeah.
start checking you out. So he ran into me at a car show when we had an R34.
Oh, personally.
And he didn't realize I knew who he was because his picture is on his profile,
Yeah.
right? And he walks up and he's looking at the cars, and I just walked over to him and I said, "So you want to call the cops on me?" And he says, that's really beautiful in person. I said, "You want to sit in it?" He's like, "Yeah." Sits in the car, and I wound up letting him drive the car. And he turned into one
He
of
wasn't
our
afraid of
biggest
getting arrested?
fans
Oh, awesome.
after the fact.
That's awesome.
But it's just like when you're miserable alone and on your laptop.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And
The inner keyboard warrior comes out.
when we did videos with some of the biggest YouTube guys around with these cars, and I'm not going to lie, there was a lot of negative that came from it, especially from a video we did with Tanner Fox, who's a great YouTuber, hilarious, great person, but his fans are kids.
They are children.
And they were calling and faking how old they were, and my dad, can I get payments, and my allowance is this, and it was cute sometimes, but a lot of these kids started, well, if I can't have these cars, no one's going to have these cars perspective, and vindictive children, and it was like it became a full-time job just fencing off these kids, but I was already in a plan that by Thanksgiving last year I was done.
With importing.
Yeah, Thanksgiving, it was a year ago, Thanksgiving. But I was done because I knew when 32s were going to be mainstream.
Right.
And I
was your business.
And I wanted to be out because
Yeah.
when you're arguably one of the biggest guys in the game, the business comes to you.
Yeah.
When all of a sudden you're just one of the guys in the game.
What's special?
Right. And
Yeah.
we were using the cars to get media attention and helping YouTubers, and like everybody from Roman Atwood drove one of our cars, Admiral Z, all these guys drove our cars and stuff, and none of that. And Adam's got his own collection at JDM now.
He does now, yeah.
And Tanner just bought a Porsche GT3 RS, I think. So
Adam's got one of those too.
He's faster than everybody. Tanner got it first though.
He probably did.
Which is funny.
Probably did.
But all said and done, I mean, I think Adams is like a special edition.
I don't know.
But whatever. But long story short, it was cool. The cool factor, and
Yeah.
what the cool factor was it was a bad boy car.
Yeah.
If
You weren't supposed to have it.
If you drove an R34 GTR to a car show and you had a guy who unfortunately had it parked next to you with an R35, he was just like, shit, what did I buy?
Yeah, it's true.
And he would wind up coming over and talking to you about it and everything else. So,
well, I mean, not before you go too far, you were providing a way for people to have their cake and eat it too.
sure.
Because you could have a car you weren't supposed to have legally.
Right.
And you still had all that, I have this thing I'm not supposed to have.
And the thing is, you know, we would tell people, look, this is not a federalized car.
Right.
If you want a federalized car, we can get you one.
Right.
But if you want this, then this is the process.
Right.
And a lot of these people, like especially YouTubers, where content rules, they don't care if What's funny is you always see these posts, and what was funny is a guy that I got along with fine. Everybody thought we were enemies, but on Rivsu, and Rivsu's gone away.
They had a really
whatever. That's not about JDM cars. That's about business
management. Yeah. That's true.
He would post every time that they'd find this obscure story where this car got seized, but it got seized in Canada, or this car got crushed. Well, yeah, the guy had drugs. There's always a sub-story to it. But
that gets ignored.
Right, but what would happen is there's guys in California, and there's guys in California with car Nazis that they're victims of their laws out there.
Yeah.
And we're out there a bunch. But the biggest problem with it is they would just drool waiting for someone to get their car crushed so that they could say, well, see, that car's on. But the funny thing is, the first car we ever brought into the country through importers was a 1990 MR2 GT for myself. It's still on the road, still know the guy. He runs an auto parts company. And I talked to him on and off, Just never had a problem with it, never had an issue with it. So, arguably, up until when we closed, we had sold more R34s than anyone else on Earth.
Yeah. Like outside of Japan.
I mean, So people, we hear you're the guy to go to. Well, yeah, because I've got 3 of them sitting here.
Yeah, as I'm on the phone
but
with
it's a huge financial outlay.
Yeah.
You're only as good as your importer, the guy who's doing the work for you, which turned into a crazy story, which we won't get into.
Yeah.
But, like we were saying earlier, you realize who your friends are when you don't have any
chips are down.
Yeah. Because when I switched over to a media company and we started doing automotive promotion, and because we had a good experience with a lot of the YouTubers and stuff, all of a sudden there's no knocks on the door, and the fanboys and everybody wants to be your intern, and everybody, you got a job opening, blah, 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 blah. And all of a sudden all that dries up because they're not getting to drive the cool cars anymore. And they jump over to the next bandwagon. So it taught me a very good lesson about who your friends are.
Yeah.
But the business has become a thing where R34s, it drives the price. So that you can get a lot of these key cars, you can get a lot of anything of March of '94, I think, and back
and
is
older.
Now. The problem is people are under the assumption that there's these junkyards with R34s just waiting for you to buy them for cheap.
You get like parking lots full of them.
And they read stuff like Japan Partner, or a lot of these companies that take beautiful photographs of really shitty cars, and post them online, and you go see them, and then you get back on the airplane and you go home. My friend Jason just went and did. He went out and looked at a car, and it was nowhere. Like it wouldn't run half the time that he was trying to drive it. It would shut off.
That's awesome.
So so he jumped back on the airplane.
What does Japan Partner just find like all of the wrecked?
So Japan Partner
Racer Boy cars.
They have like this is my opinion, and my opinion only, and I know people that own Japan Partner.
I've fallen victim to a couple of their pictures. I haven't bought anything on them.
They do not keep things current. There was a guy that wanted a car, the Supra, that he saw really cheap.
Yes.
And when I saw the Supra, it looked familiar to me. And then I realized it was a Supra my friend already owns in America.
Yeah, that's true.
And he had owned the car for 2 years.
Oh, wow.
So I'll give you an example. The other thing is, I think what they do is they repost auctions. So they post cars that are on auctions, and then when you call about it and they don't have that car, they upsell you to another car.
When I this is way before I knew you, when I was trying to buy an R32, I fell victim to them. It was back in the days where you had to,
it's not a victim thing.
well,
They have the cars. The problem is
Yeah.
they post cars, and in the fine print it says you have to make sure the car can get through customs.
no. What I mean
Right.
is what I fell victim to was what you were specifically just describing, where it was when you had to email them an inquiry, and then they'd get back to you about that car, and you had to reference that car. Every single email I sent, they're like, unfortunately, that car's already sold, but we have blah blah blah.
Right.
I'm like, no, I don't want to spend another $10,000.
I know
American.
you want this Maxima, but we have this wonderful Conde Elantra.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Or they'd have a comparable car and comparable mileage, or whatever, but it would be $10,000 US more.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, I know, I'm not prepared to spend another 50%.
But you look at a lot of companies that have come and gone.
Yeah.
You know, if you do the research, there are still some really good guys, like Trap Team down in Miami. They have a nice selection of cars. They're quality cars. They're not ragged out. They're not modded to be a GTR when they're not. And they have some really rare stuff. Quality stuff. I know the guys. There's a couple of companies on the West Coast that do it. But long story short is, I got to have it for a reason. And I not only, when I decided I told my broker that I was going to do this, started getting shoddier quality stuff. Yeah, it was like, well, you're going anyway, so let's just see if we can offload our garbage on it.
Oh, man.
But that's a different story. The point, getting back to the topic, is I think once it's easy, no one wants it.
Yeah.
Just like the hot girl at the bar.
Oh, yeah, if you know she'll bang anybody.
You want the hot girl at the bar. I don't care how many shots of Jack Daniels you've had.
Yeah.
Her chubby friend may not be what you want. But I think it's about settling. And I'm very proud. I'm very proud to say that I have a long list of good, long-term customers.
Yeah.
We helped one recently get a car that had gotten cars before, and they don't settle. Period.
Yeah.
If you want
different kind of buyer.
Right. If you want that R34 GTR V-Spec with 60,000 original miles and no mods, that guy will pay what he has to pay to get it.
You can find it and he'll buy it.
Sure.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. We have a lot of customers that, have had bought 4 or 5 cars from us or have bought cars over and over and over from us. Back when I was doing it. I mean, I keep my list of people I help right now pretty thin.
Oh, of course.
But it's like, what hurts the business too is stuff like Jalopnik. Because when Jalopnik loves to write stories, it's literally the National Enquirer of the car world.
He kind of is.
And I got embroiled with them. They had come to me when I was doing this full time, and they wanted to write an expose on importing JDM cars. And I was like, sure, I can't wait to jump on this bandwagon with you and burn everyone I know.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, I'm not interested in this at all. And they kept calling it. And then when we had a problem with a car that we were showing that was untitled, and our broker got a title for it, and it's a big ongoing thing.
Convoluted.
Yeah, can't talk about a court case, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But they just blew it up, and it's one of their most popular posts last year because people like drama.
Yeah.
Right?
Even if it's not true.
Yeah, and what's funny is...
or not completely.
What's funny is everybody panicked when that happened. The story got so convoluted with them, was it legal? It had nothing to do with legal or illegal. The car was not seized. The car was not crushed. The car, we know where the car is, but the car was taken for fraud on a title. It's a business thing, and you do it the right way, you go to court over it. Right? And, they'll get theirs. But the point being said is, had nothing to do with illegality. No one from Detroit to the Philadelphia Police Department to anybody that was involved in this, and we're talking some pretty high up people in the auto crime stuff,
divisions,
cared, gave 2 shits about how that car was imported. They just wanted to know if that title was legal.
Yeah, if the paper trail was correct.
And one of the processes that you have to go through to title a JDM car, whether it's 25 years old or whatever, is the car has to be present when the title is done. And we had the car and they filed the title, 1,900 miles away.
And that's it. That's all.
And that's where the movie ends. But they made a big deal about it, And what happens is when you do this like we did for 15 years, you get you have your fanboys
And haters.
and your happy customers
Yeah.
who tend to not say anything
Oh, okay.
because they don't want drama in their lives. They just want their car, right? They don't want to jump in the fireball, you know. And haters that just love it to death. And that's the horrible and funny part, all that stuff. But I think if you can buy R32s are great cars. It's not just the R32s. I mean, what I found interesting is now S14s are legal, S13s are legal.
Yeah.
How many of them you see? Hardly any.
JDM ones, no.
Yeah,
Well,
because they cost so much, and you could buy the American version. Like, that's the thing about it. And I've said this since day one. If you buy a JDM car that has an American version, i.e. S14, i.e. Supra, i.e. blah, blah, blah.
I know where you're going with this.
People have a hard time rationalizing, why don't I just do the motor swap?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Why don't I just put this RB in? Why don't I just put this SR in?
Yeah.
Because it's way cheaper, and if they already have a nice S chassis or a nice Supra, why not?
Well, it's inarguably cheaper to buy an S14 and buy an SR2, and if you really wanted to be a fanboy, do a right-hand drive swap, than it is to buy an S14 from Japan.
But you have there's other problems, like with the Supra, for example. The turbo's on the wrong side.
Wrong, yeah.
So if you get a right-hand drive Supra, the turbo's on the right-hand side, melting your, reservoirs, melting your
messing with your
heating
steering
up your
linkage.
steering wheel, lighting
Yeah,
your freaking
yeah.
rag joint on fire. If you want to make any real power other than stock.
Yeah.
So they tend to sell for less than the American ones. Like if you find a really nice,
just those cars,
just
though.
Supras.
Yeah.
The Skyline is that aberration, though. And that's why it was the most popular
There
car.
wasn't a US.
Right.
Yeah.
An S15 is a gorgeous car. I think arguably an S15 with an RB25 in it is probably the baddest ass thing you can own, which is basically a GTT at that point.
Mhm.
But the looks of the car is beautiful. And we've had everything from Variettas, which are incredibly rare convertible versions of S15s. But if you look at the Skyline is that car. It's no. That car we're not giving to the Americans.
Well, it's true.
Out of all the God
and
cars.
it's actually, you're navigating to a question that I was going to ask about the subject, which is that how much of the sort of JDM cars losing its lusters are due to the fact that they're, pretty much after the R34, Japan made few, if any, really cool cars that you couldn't get in America.
Yeah, I think
Like, they themselves stopped making those cars
I think
after that
I think
time.
Skyline's rule the JDM world.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I think when you think of the word JDM, the first thing you think of is an R34.
Yeah, well, what else? Yeah.
The NSXs were exactly the same, and because you can't get a crash history, they don't sell for as much as the US ones because the aluminum chassis is an issue.
Yeah, of course.
You look at cars that are, there are some neat cars. I mean, you could do a whole story on cars that are just, what's the word I'm looking for? Interesting, like the FTO, for example, which is basically the JDM version of an Eclipse.
That's right. Yeah.
But there's a lot of cars, like, we didn't get an Evo till the 8.
Yeah.
The 7, very few, we
Yeah.
get very few 7s.
No 6s, no 5s.
But the 8.
Yeah.
Arguably, in my opinion, 5s and 6s best Evo out there.
Like the old Mirage-based ones.
Yeah. And I've had a couple, and they're awesome.
Yeah. They're cool, for sure.
We got the 2.5 RS Subaru, but the real car is the STI.
Yeah. That 22B.
Right.
Yeah.
And they're uber rare to begin with.
Yes.
But the Skyline controls the world, and I think the Skyline controls the JDM world for a reason. Because when you roll into a car meet, or you roll into a show with an R34 GTR, they should literally play the Bad Boys theme in the background. Because you're thumbing your nose to stupid legality.
Yeah, NTSB.
Right.
Yeah.
And you're like, we can't have this car. Why? Well, it doesn't crash test to American specs. But if it's 25 years old, I can die in this, right?
Yeah.
You don't care. If it's 25 years old,
It's a
all
silly...
of a sudden it doesn't have to be brought to safety tag or anything else. After that, you just don't care.
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah. I
It's
mean,
the government at work.
you go drive a Myers-Manx
Oh,
kit
God.
car into a wall
God.
and see what happens.
Yeah, I know.
You're putty.
Yeah.
You're powder puff.
Yeah.
And that's it. They'll find you in the vapor.
Droplets of you.
And I've seen all manner of Skyline and car accidents.
Well, and that's kind of the
they
stupid.
crash the same way.
Yeah, that's kind of the stupid. The
I mean,
stupid.
you crash them, they'll total easier, slightly easier, but
Well, that's what I mean. So people seem to think, well, if they weren't legal for crash, they didn't pass crash tests, then they're death traps. No, there's a whole gray area in between passing U.S. crash standards and being a mobile coffin.
One of the schoolboys,
Yeah.
Isaiah, who just went to Cali with me, he bought an R34 GTT from me a while back, and shortly after he got it, he wound up getting in an accident, and he went full-blown sideways into a tree. It hit the wheel. It bent the gas pedal up, buckled the floor.
Whoa.
And he got out of the car and walked away.
Oh, but that doesn't pass the
And
standard.
the airbags didn't even deploy.
Well, that doesn't pass that.
No.
You're going to die if you get in an accident.
And like 30 days later, he got his insurance check and bought another one.
Yeah.
And now he's got another one that,
And then, and then to put things in perspective, I get into a regular highway speed car accident in a U.S. legal Corolla, and my right
messes you
leg
up for
gets
life, yeah.
mangled. Yeah.
Well,
Mangled.
that's because you got in a car you didn't fit it.
I did not. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, imagine,
That's
what's
true.
funny is now you can get a Honda Beat, which I owned one.
Mm.
And
and
I bought it because I thought it was cool.
Yeah, they're
and I painted it. I spent all this money
talk
on
about
it.
not fitting in the cars.
And I drove it the first night. I think David from the office, somebody went with me, and driving it down the road, I was like, I can't wait to park this thing and sell it.
Yeah.
Not because there's anything wrong with it. It's just it's like driving a piece of Samsonite luggage. There's nothing to it. A motorcycle honestly feels safer. And a truck goes by and it blows you over.
It's like
It weighs nothing. And
made of tinfoil.
but that car is legal federalized.
Yeah.
And cappuccinos, which they would have to
Nice.
cut you out with a
Oh,
sawzall
yeah. Oh.
to get you out of it.
It's a glorified
Or
go-kart.
you get out AutoZams. And, I mean, they're neat. Key cars are neat. One of my friends recently was looking into one, and he said, I just want to drive it to car meets. I'm like, is the car meet close?
Yeah.
And he was like, no, yeah, usually cars are going, this would probably be a great thing to just pull out on a weekend,
Yeah.
drive it to a Cars and Coffee, and drive
back.
it home.
Don't go to Tampa.
And pick up the car and hang it on the garage wall like you probably could.
Put it on the hanger.
Yeah, it's literally like driving. It's literally like driving a Samsonite, but those are legal. So
That's good luggage, though.
it is. But you could be in a JDM car that hardly anyone has for $6-7 grand.
Yeah.
That's cheap. That's
Yeah.
very cheap.
Yeah.
But the thing is, the
But you're
average person wants an R34.
I was going to say,
$6-7
getting back to what you're saying, nobody goes, I want a JDM car so bad, I can't wait to get a Beat or a cappuccino.
Yeah,
Or,
and there's plenty of places.
They want a GTR.
There's plenty of places like my friend Frank over at High Rev Motors.
Yeah.
He does a lot. He loves key cars. Like you go over there, there's like Alto Works and all these. He loves these little things, and he has some badass stadium cars too.
Yeah.
But it's like if you go to him and you say I want this car, he'll get it for you, and it'll be a nice car, and he'll make sure it's not going to be a piece of crap.
Yeah.
But these little micro cars are just like wow.
They're cool. They have their own appeal.
But the other thing is, there's the factors people don't take into account is even on the legal stuff, even on the federalized stuff, they don't teleport over here. So you don't buy it for 12 grand, 15 grand in Japan, and then it just boop, appears in your garage. And that there's roughly anywhere up to, including $2 grand, just in the RoRo, which is
shipping.
roll on, roll off car transport.
Yeah.
There's fees and duties in Japan, fees and duties here.
Yeah.
Don't forget good old Florida sales tax.
Yeah.
And you got...
Or wherever you might live.
Sure. So it's totally possible to buy a Beat for $3-4 grand.
Yeah.
And be $8 grand into it by the time you're driving down the road.
Sure.
Florida, I don't know about a lot of states, but Florida has like a $250 tag fee just to get a plate.
That's right, yeah.
I think I got one, two... I got a couple of them.
You've paid it a few times.
I've paid it a few times.
Yeah. But it's true. I mean, even back when I was looking at those R32s, I expected this to pay 50 to 100% more when I picked it up.
Realistic people just they dream.
Well, and they get sucked into the prices.
And that's the problem with the dream car, and that's also the problem with being the guy who supplies the dream car.
Yeah. You're also the dream crusher.
Yeah, I tell people all the time, I have to charge you this amount of money. This is what it's going to be. You got to figure out if you want to pay that.
Right.
Because when I used to bring cars in, I did all the fluids. I made sure everything was right on the car.
So
I
you
made
could
sure
drive
it
off
didn't need anything. because most of our clients were out of state. So we'd get them, they'd fly in, pay for the car, look at the car, drive it around here a little bit, and then we'd ship it. The last thing you want this thing to do is break down in Oklahoma, where they can't find someone to fix it.
They can't find anything. Yeah,
and that happens everywhere. There's a lot
That's
of
just good business.
There's a lot of shops that should never, ever, 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 ever be allowed to work on a JDM car. There's a shop here in Orlando that's had an S15 for like 2 years now, supposedly doing a 2J swap. Haven't seen that yet. Luckily, it wasn't a car I sold.
Are they just working on it in their spare time?
I don't know what they're doing with it.
How does it take that long?
You know, there's another shop down in Miami.
Person I could see
that
shop.
One of my really, really good clients took his R34 to. There was nothing wrong with this car.
Okay.
One of, hands down, the cleanest R34 GTTs I've ever seen.
Okay.
He brought it to this guy to do a timing belt water pump because it was due. It was due. It was time to do it. And the guy bent 2 valves, didn't time the car properly, had to send the car to my guy who builds my cars. So they had to ship the car up here. In the guy's defense, because I don't like to throw half the story at something, the guy paid for everything. The shop paid for the car to be repaired and fixed properly.
So nobody got screwed on the deal.
Well, he got a car that he'd spent a lot more time and money on than he wanted to, because now the valves are bent, so you got to redo the head. So we found him another head and rebuilt that head because I didn't know what else was wrong with it, blind looking at it.
Yeah.
Know? So we rebuilt that head, and then he did studs in it. The customer wound up coming out better because now it had a metal head gasket and studs, and he could do things with the car that he couldn't have done before.
It was sort of.
But you bend future valves and there was always a worry. Luckily, it all worked out. And Monster Performance down in Melbourne sorted the car, fixed it all, and now my client loves my guy and brings the car, and he's doing a turbo upgrade and all this other stuff. So now, but the thing is, you got to be wary with JDM cars. When you go into a shop and say, "Can you fix my Skyline?" The shop wants your Skyline. They want that in their shop.
They're going to say
people walk in the door, they're like, "Oh my God, that's a Skyline. You work on those?"
Yeah.
And maybe you don't know what the hell you're doing.
Yeah. It's true though. Like some shops, they want the good PR. So they'll say yes and then try and figure it out on the fly.
This shop
costs
S15
a nightmare.
Is I guess they specialize in
you see that
in rotaries, which is rotaries are a specialized thing.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And but the same owner owns a bunch of JDM cars that I've sold them over the years, and he's just massacred every one of them. He drove an R33 GTR I sold him and blew the cooling system out on a road trip in front of everybody. He bought an R34 GTR from me, and the car now has a bad clutch and a bad turbo, and it's got a dent in it. And every time somebody sees the car, it's got something else wrong with it. He bought a car that I kind of regret selling because I wanted the car for a long time, but you can't keep everything. I mean, I'm not a multi-millionaire. I don't have a garage, a warehouse full of cars, unlike some people. But he bought a BRZ, not a BRZ, 111.
Oh yeah.
So basically the Toyota version of a car.
Yeah.
And the car was perfect, other than it needed a set of shock charges, front shock absorber cartridges.
Yeah.
When I sold him the car, but he's basically let everyone drive it, everyone rag it out, and now it's listed online for sale with an engine that's about blown up. And it literally, in his defense, he actually posted what's wrong. He's like, "It leaks oil and it burns oil, and we'll put another motor in it for you for extra money for 10 grand, which the car is worth 10 grand, in great shape." It is a BZR. It is a 6-speed car. It is rarer, but it's not all that uber desirable.
No,
they
had a small
and
following.
He bought the car.
Place.
I don't even remember what he bought the car from me from. But we were closer then than we are now. I could have no use for him, but it's like he's literally trying to sell his tragedies, to somebody. if it were me, I'd put a motor in it and then sell it.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
be like, here's the car, no
Just
problem.
So here's not a headache for you.
Yeah, and it's, but you see it all the time. I
Yeah.
see a lot of cars that either we had sold, or other people had sold, and they just rag the hell out of it. They don't take care of it. Skylines, for example, are fussy. I mean, oil changes are the utmost of importance. You have to maintain the car. If it has a stock clutch, don't try to do launches, because you will be putting a clutch in it, and a stock clutch in that car is not cheap. God forbid you break the V160 transmission, and you know where that goes. So the thing is, I think they've lost their value in some cases. I think the prestige of owning one. If you own an R34, you're still cool. I mean,
Yeah.
You're still the cool guy.
But 32s are
32s are
commonplace
everywhere.
Yeah, yeah.
Google. Go on eBay. Google.
33s are getting
32
that way.
for sale. In another year, the 34 is. First of all, a lot of companies. I know for a fact that when Ripsu was around, they were anticipating, and I don't know if it has anything to do with it, with why they had this money problem, but they were so gung ho for when the 33s came. They thought the 33s were going to pop the floodgates. Everyone was going to, and I was like, Steve, no, because no one calls me. I can get them any car they want, asking for this
for
car.
33s, yeah.
The 1 in 100, because you get all this. It looks like an S14, and it's a great car.
I like
It's
them.
hands down a great
As I
car. I
said.
think it's a misunderstood cool
Yeah,
car.
I like them more than 34s.
Oh,
No, I like
well,
them
yeah.
more than 34s.
I mean,
Definitely with looks.
they're definitely they're a bargain, but once they become legal and they're in the 30s and 40s probably for a B spec or whatever, they're still not going to sell that much because no one really wants one. It's supply and demand.
Well, it's true, definitely. I mean, everybody either wanted a 32 or a 34. You rarely ever heard anybody like, no, I'm waiting for the 33s to get legal. So yeah, I'm with you on that because like I don't think I've ever heard anybody say
Hands
that.
down, the 32 GTR is the best.
Yeah.
If you fix the problems, if you fix the oil pump issues, the crank issues, upgrade the turbochargers, very little. If you buy the car and spend $5,000,
Just making it
better,
better.
uber reliable,
Yeah.
it's the best. It's the car. It's the only car with race credentials.
Right, that's right.
It's
Yeah.
absolutely an amazing car to drive. Get that car to 500 horsepower, it'll terrify you, and it's a fun car. Kyle loves his, so and he has a Supra, so he's a perfect comparison.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but it's a true race car. You're buying a strictly
that's
race
why
car.
I like it. Yeah.
Right. The 33s got heavier and bigger. 34s got heavier and bigger.
Yeah.
But if you I have a 34, and if you look at it, I love my NSX, hands down. Somebody offered the right money for the GTR, I'd sell it. NSX not so much. And it's not about performance; it's about what you like.
Well, yeah, what the car does for you.
But if you want to break necks, and you want to turn heads, and you want to surround yourself at the gas station, we used to joke, buy an R34, you'll never get a 5-minute gas stop ever again.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
people come up, oh my God, and they got to talk to you for 20 minutes,
Oh,
and you
yeah.
wind up letting them sit in it, and they did selfies. But that's the cool part of it.
It's true. You could have a super rare Ferrari
Yeah.
and an R34 at a gas station
Oh,
at the same time.
no way.
And almost nobody will go to the Ferrari. Everybody will go to the.
The Ferrari guy will come over and talk
Come
to
over
you.
because it's supposed to be on the table.
Because
it's exclusive. It's rare.
You see a lot of these T-shirts
And the Ferrari might cost 3 times as much,
right, but you see
but
like
it'll still get less attention.
built not bought.
Yeah.
You see that a lot, right? Built
Yeah,
not
yeah,
bought.
yeah.
But the thing is, if you buy an R34, it used to be, well, it still is with R34s. It's not just about having the money. It's about having the connections to get the car.
Oh yeah, yeah. Because
You know?
money alone wouldn't get it. If you
And
didn't
a lot
know
of
where to
people-
send the money, you weren't
Yeah,
getting
and
it.
you get a lot of people that get screwed, and they buy the car in Japan, the car comes over here and it gets crushed because they didn't take it apart or they didn't do it. Or unscrupulous companies that
Yeah.
just want to take your money and do it. So it's pretty funny. I love some of the digs we get. And if you think about, we sat down and tried to figure out how many cars that we had dealt with over 15 years, and you can't even do the math. Like at least 12 R34 GTRs.
Mm.
And every one of them still in
And
my
that's
hands.
just the GTR.
That's just GTRs.
Yeah, not GTSTs and.
But
you know,
when you
whatever.
do this and you specialize in that industry, you can see what's going on. There's a lot of cars that are worth more money, but if you want a 32, buy a 32. If you want, it's a lot easier to do when it's legal. But the problem is, the legality or the ease, get away from calling it legal because it's so gray, of getting a car that's not easy to attain makes it worth more.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then you know that you can sit on it, and all the wise guys, all the smart people in the business who bought GTRs, I mean, you can Google R34 GTR in the US or whatever, there's tons of videos, people aren't hiding them.
Mm-hmm.
I saw 4 of them in California at an event, at a car show, which is hilarious. But those cars are just, they're desirable. People are going to pay for them.
Absolutely.
And,
it's the same
and
thing.
these guys realize, I'm just going to sit on this car until 2025 or whatever it is, when these cars are federalized, and no one's going to give a shit anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But guess what? My car is going to be worth twice what I paid for it. I mean, I personally have sold cars, 34 GTRs, V-Specs, in the 100 plus range before I got out of it.
Mm.
So, but yeah, so that's basically that. I think
So JDM's dying.
it is. I think I think people are still going to want them,
Yeah, but
but the Hun end of it is definitely dying. Like, you don't see the Integras and all those cars. People still want them, but when they see what they cost.
well, and that's the thing. And once
And a lot of those aren't even legal, federalized yet.
once the 33s and the 34s or whatever are
Yeah, you're about to see what DC2 Type Rs are coming out. You're going to CRXs. You can get like SIRs.
well, what I was
The
going to say
Honda
is
stuff
is
you got a while. You got 99. Like the same as the GTR, you're going to see EK9s and stuff like that.
once those cars are under the 25-year rule, it's still going to cost the same amount to ship them over. It's still going to cost the
Costs
same
less.
amount with.
Actually, costs less. It costs
Well, the
less when you
shipping
don't have to
container.
take them apart.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's
Because
true.
it costs.
But you're still gonna have to pay for that. You're still gonna have to pay for customs. You're still gonna have to pay
disassembling the
for.
car, separating the parts, and doing all the BS that you read about that you have to do. $5,000
Yeah,
roughly to bring a car over, if not more.
yeah.
It's $2,000 to bring over a federalized car.
But you still have to pay
Yeah.
for all those things.
Right.
And so I think that
And then the cars, all
the cat's kind of out of the bag.
Another thing is, with the federalized cars, a lot of states will let you get away with paying what the car costs.
Mm.
Like if you get somebody to broker it for you, you do the work, you find the car, you take all the risks. I wouldn't. I would definitely have somebody professional do it. But put their hands on the car, in Japan. But you can save a ton of money. But the problem is those factors of tax. With any of the JDM cars that don't have Blue Book value, what people don't realize, one of the most common mistakes is they don't realize that the car doesn't have value. So the car comes over here and they're like, well, I paid $15,000 for it. Well, that's great. Now go get a certified appraisal,
Yeah.
and you're going to pay sales tax based on what it's
What the
appraised at.
appraisal is, yeah.
Because if it doesn't have a Blue Book value, it goes
They have
by
to go off
appraised
appraisal,
value
yeah.
in most states. And I've gotten a lot of business out of that stuff. Because you got to be able to say what the car is worth retail. And what sucks is the guy might have got a good deal, but he's paying taxes on retail.
Which could be substantially higher
Sure.
than he paid for. Yeah.
I got news for you. You got an R32 GTR. It's in nice shape. It's
Yeah.
going to probably appraise around 28, 29 grand. That's what you're paying sales tax on.
But that's and you know what that exists with U.S. legal cars too.
Right.
Like if you get one of these niche cars, E30s are a good example. They sell at well above Blue Book value. Blue Book value is nowhere near what.
Oh,
they
NSX
sell
is the same one.
nowhere near what they sell at. And when you go certain states, when you go to
Now you can go in and say, okay,
taxes
this
on them.
car appraises at 30 grand,
right,
but I paid this for it,
yeah,
and this car still needs this, and you can sometimes negotiate or depending on, you're dealing with the DMV, so once you get up to the counter, you're already been there for an hour.
yeah.
So I mean, it depends. We had a customer recently that had a car that when he took it to his state, they tried to charge him sales tax again. And he had paid sales tax when he bought the car in Florida. He got the title, it was already in his name. He was just doing a title transfer. And they tried to charge him sales tax again. They said, well, you don't have, we need the paperwork with the registration. And he's like, well, I didn't register it. I just bought it, title only. And he went round and round and round and round. He's a pretty smart businessman, and he got them to, just let him do it.
Wait, yeah,
But there's so much to that stuff.
for sure.
But anyway, you can check out our YouTube channel at Cars Media Group. We also have Instagrams for Spool Boys, the Car Cami, which is my channel. The What else?
Car Show Tracker. Is that
Car Show
the-
Tracker, which is only a couple of months away from being up in 100%.
Launched.
So that's going to be interesting. We'll
That's
talk a
zero.
little bit about that
Eventually,
soon.
back again. Yeah.
Yeah, well, back and way better than
Before.
better than it was, and better than anything else that's out there.
Yeah. For sure.
So see you guys next week.